Um, okay. Hey, my name is David Reyes. I just want to start by saying a big hello to all my followers. Yeah, that's right, all 12 of you, 90% of whom I know personally and can say hello to on a regular basis without actually feeling, weird. Alright, so I'm starting this video blog for weekends now on my Tumblr. Uh, I'm doing this because, well, I kind of need to get more people to read my blog, really. Also because I've got this problem here, and the problem is not that I continue to play with things on my desk and keep dropping them. The problem is, as my friend pointed out when I linked to a post to one of my Tumblr posts, that when I linked into it because I mentioned him, and when he saw it, his first words that he posted were, "Holy shit, wall of text." So I'm trying to and I noticed that I get a lot more responses when I post videos and pictures and all that stuff, and that's because this is what the net is. The net is, it's all people of my generation, we prefer pictures. We don't like reading so much. We love it's not like we don't like reading. It's just that it's a slow medium. It's because you have to read it and then you have to process it and all of this. But I'm a novelist, so I use text a lot, and I'm also trying to, curb that. No, not curb that. I'm trying to branch out, and I'm also trying to get better at speaking to people. I mean, you can tell I've wasted a lot of time on pauses and false starts right off the bat. Alright, so a lot of you guys know I've been writing about Hemingway. I've been reading it. Also, just so you know, I'm not reading it that slowly. I'm several chapters ahead of what's been posted. I post every day at 5 o'clock. I've got it all queued up. I'm a week ahead of what I've written. Let's just start there, because, yeah. Alright, so the reason I'm starting this is, okay, one, all the reasons I said at the beginning of this video, and also because I have to blog for my writing, research, and technology class, and I don't want it to be more text. I'm writing a lot already. I'm a writing major and a film major, so I've got all this stuff to write. So I'm looking at, building on this stuff. Not building on this stuff. That's not quite what I want to say. I want to experiment with some other technologies in this. I mean, this is a technology class. So that's what I'm doing here. I also wanted to separate this from my Hemingway stuff. Also, I'm planning on reblogging more Hemingway stuff as I find it on Tumblr, for that hopefully get the views up. I need a bigger viewership or readership. I just want more people to see this. I love you guys, but there's only 12 of you reading this, and I know 11 of you personally. Alright? So, we have to blog about the readings for class. And I actually did blog about things I did for class when I started this blog, but now that it's turned toward Hemingway and I've gotten more responses from having a focused blog, I like that. So Saturdays and Sundays are going to be my video blog days, where I'm going to talk about the stuff that I've been doing for writing, research, technology, and maybe some other things as I read more Hemingway and as I go through life and what I think about this stuff. Because the net is all about reflecting on things. And I noticed I've been using the net a lot as a term, and maybe it's just because I just don't want to say the internet. Alright, so the paper we have to read for one of our two blogs per week on this, it was Digital Natives, Digital Immigrants. Alright, and right off the bat, I can tell you I'm a digital native. Alright, I've grown up with technology all of my life. But up until lately, I haven't been really creating with technology, not nearly so much as some of my other friends who are much more skilled with with Photoshop and with video creation. Um, I focus on writing because I am a very text-based person. So this is once again why I'm doing this. You know, and I can see a lot of this, a lot of what the digital natives are about, what we all are about. We're also known as millennials, and I'll probably use that term a little more than digital natives, mostly because it's less syllables. But millennials, we just well, look at a couple days ago, this big SOPA protest. All right, SOPA, for those of you who don't know, and if I'm following you, you probably do know about it. Because, and if you're if you're following me, rather, you probably know about it because I blacked out my Tumblr for that, and hopefully, if I have as many viewers as I want, and hopefully, maybe no, it probably did not actually affect you at all. But if you're on Tumblr, you know about SOPA. They're big, huge. Every blog, it seemed, said something about it. Everything. SOPA is a bill that's going. SOPA and PIPA are bills going through Congress and the House of Representatives and the Senate right now. SOPA's pretty much dead in the water, and PIPA's getting there. That would grant more enforcement opportunities for copyright. And that copyright infringement is a big problem. But and piracy is horrible. Well, okay, fine. I have benefited from piracy before, but there has to be a better way to do it. But I love what we millennials did in protest of this. We blacked out the internet. We took the greatest creation that we can use, the thing that we've used and manipulated and changed more than anything, and we said no. We said, look, we're going to we're going to show you what a world without this stuff, without all of the ways that we have changed the internet. I mean, meme base, they blacked out. You were able to skip through that, but they made you aware of it. And meme base is a really good example of how copyright is involved in that. Basically, what a lot of meme base stuff is you get screenshots of pictures of shows, movies, and stuff, and then they'll take that and they'll caption it with other things, and it's really funny. And there's all of that. We take things and we alter them. We make that. I mean, there are huge communities for fan fiction, which I, as a novelist, that technically speaking, that's copyright infringement. It's it's using a whole bunch of characters that don't belong to you. However, it's really awesome to have someone who likes your characters so much that they want to tell other stories about them. So that's something I find really cool about the internet. All right. Now, we also have in this article we were talking about digital immigrants. All right. These are the older generation, and what happens with them is they in our time, technology has increased not incrementally, but exponentially. We are it's constantly evolving, and we adapt very quickly to it. But the previous generation hasn't so much. Education is very, very slow, and I love the way they talk about it. This person talks about it. She's a digital immigrant, or Prensky. I don't know. I'm assuming gender, so I will probably just change up which pronouns I use over time. I never actually bothered to find out this person's first name. Prensky talks about how they speak with an accent, not a real accent, but there's my aunt who has to caps lock her words so that she can see the screen, even though I know how to zoom in on the screen and make all the words bigger anyway. She can't do that. She actually has to caps lock everything so that she can read it. But it talks about all sorts of different ways, and that's an example. Sorry, that is an example of an accent there. It gives other examples, which I'm not quite sure, because some of it, or perhaps maybe it's because I'm so text-based that I do have some of the digital immigrant tendencies. Like I said, needing to print something out in order to edit it. Okay, my editing style sucks, but I'm working on it. But yeah, I do need to print things out in order to edit them. But I think that has more to do with separating it from the way that I created it. I use a program called Write or Die, in which I am not capable of editing while I write. That's one of the biggest mistakes that any writer can do, because it slows you down and you can't get out the words you need. I'm not editing as I'm talking right now, or while I'm going back and occasionally saying things, but I can't actually stop myself from having said those words. I will possibly edit these things on the actual recording after the fact. However, I'm still learning how to do that, so this will probably just go to Tumblr raw. Because I do have those digital immigrant tendencies. Now, digital immigrants tend to believe that the ways in which they were taught and ways in which they were taught to teach are the only ways to learn, which really doesn't help those of us who are digital natives and the millennials, because we learn rapidly. We want parallels. We go from point E to from point A to point C to point E, D, all over the place. I can't believe I started with E just there. I don't know why. And that's because I start in the middle sometimes. Actually, technically, that was toward the end. Whatever. But, well, never mind. So, where we're used to speed. We don't like to wait for things. I mean, loading screens suck when you're playing video games. And actually, this is where I'm getting to, because she talks a lot about this person talks a lot about video games, because we learn through play. And well, okay, a little background on me. I'm a play theorist. Well, okay, I'm not quite a theorist. I'm not published or anything. I did a paper last semester, and I really am infatuated with the idea of play theory. Play theory is this idea which started long before video games. The sacred text of play theory, if I'm going to say anything here, is Homo Ludens, written in Switzerland, I want to say, in 1949. I'm probably wrong about the date and the place. I know it was written in German. And in it, and I really wish I had it on the site, but the writer Huizinga, I cannot pronounce that name. Huinzinga. Huizinga says that that play is any voluntary activity which has particular rules about time and place, and which creates the feelings of joy, tension, and an understanding that this is different from normal life. Now, if you're saying that's really vague, yeah, that's kind of the point. It can apply to a lot of different things. If you are voluntarily doing something and you have, a certain time and place in which it can be done, and you have rules you have set up which are freely accepted by all involved. I forgot to mention that in the quote. I was sort of in the middle there. All right. Everyone involved has to accept the rules, no matter how absurd they are. Which is interesting if you play games like Calvin Ball, like my friends. We played Calvin Ball one day last year. A lot of fun, because there the rules are readily accepted, and instantly you have to create games on the fly. And yes, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but that is what we millennials do. We connect things. go to tvtropes.com, read anything, and try not to go on what they call a wiki walk. Wiki walk is when you just, you get potholed, as they call it. You start clicking on the blue text, the links to other articles, and you start reading those articles, and you start just, and then you find another one, and you just go somewhere, and then sooner or later you end up on Wikipedia, and then you do that, and you're onto a page on philosophy, which I think says a lot about us. That everything comes back to philosophy. Alright. But the problem that we have with video games. Alright, okay, sorry, now I'm getting ahead of myself. We learn through play. Alright? The first thing that baby animals, baby people do is they play. They try and they figure out how things work. How do I move my fingers perfectly? And how do I get these connections working? I mean, when I argue with my friend, a voluntary activity, which we both enjoy, loaded with tension and understanding that we are not, that this is not like regular life, with rules about what we can and can't argue about and what we can't bring up. You know, we only in certain places. We are playing. We're playing with each other. We're playing a debating game in this case. And in it, I find the holes in my logic. I find how I'm doing things wrong. I hardly ever actually side with him on anything. But what happens is I end up thinking about things differently, and I learn how to craft a better argument. Now, the problem is that the old school school teaches in a way which doesn't necessarily facilitate fun and play. And the paper actually says it's because they didn't grow up learning from Sesame Street. You know, education can be can be fun, and it can be play, it can be gaming. But the big problem is that because of this old school theory of education, how we learn, people look at video games and see learning, but they see the learning that they are focused on. They don't necessarily make the same connections that we do. You know, they aren't seeing us getting the same skills. They're seeing a person playing. I'm gonna say Batman. All right, the new Batman Arkham City game. They see you playing that, and they see you playing a game in which you are punching people in the face a lot. All right, and they see that and they think that's teaching violence. But when I play the game, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about mostly about being entertained. But what I can learn from that, and what I have learned, is how to find the layout of a room, how to understand where everything is and where people are placed in that room, and how to use that to my advantage when I'm doing anything in that room. You know, it teaches you three-dimensional space. It really does, and it gets you, and it's an interesting concept. You know, the paper also talks about this software program that they had, and they were trying to figure out how to teach people to use it because it was vastly different from everything else that was already out there. It had this steep learning curve, and they couldn't figure out how to do it. They wanted to have like a tutorial thing, but they just couldn't figure out. So they made a video game. You know, they figured the people who are playing it most are 20 to 30-year-old men. Why not give them a video game to play? And they had these scientists and these people who know pedagogy, who know education, trying to figure out all of this. And they're like, no, okay, you cannot have 5 to 10 minute video games telling them how to use the software. Not video games, videos, movies, films, little things. Like just telling them, okay, this is how you do this. No, you have to give it to them. You have to give it to them. Sorry, you can't give it to them. You have to let them. You have to let them work it out. You have to give them challenges. That is what gaming is about. It's about challenges, it's about overcoming challenges. It is about using all the tools that you have through that game to create and to build and to master the game. And I realized that it actually says that mastering is a digital immigrant term, mostly, but it's still important. And so they kept arguing back and forth. Do we use a lesson interface? Do we tell them, okay, in this part you're going to learn how to do that? No, you don't. You have to give them the tools to do it. You have to, and then just let them do it. Let them experiment. Let them play. Like, I don't go into anything with a plan. When I'm arguing with my friend, it just happens, and I figure things out. And suddenly, I realize how to argue better. That's how you teach through play. All right. Like, I hate it when video games they are trying to teach you the interface, so they black out the screen almost, except for everything what they want to point at you. And I realize I have to stop doing this because I'm blocking out everything on the screen. But actually, that makes sense. And they have a little arrow that points to up here in the overhead display, and this is this, and this is that, and you have to do that. I hate that. I really hate when they're trying to tell me, okay, this is how you do it. I want them to tell me how to do it. I do want you to. I want to know that, but it's a lot easier if I can have that just happen. You know, if it can be a voiceover in the thing saying, hey, you know, you should be aware of this while you're actually just running off and doing things. You know, I like constantly being able to play and to run while I don't have to worry about actually, you know, about the rest of it. About, okay, so now I know that this is my health bar and this is the mana bar, and if I click this button in particular right now, this will happen. Whereas, and you give that to me in a list, I'm going to hate you. But if you give that to me over time and just tell me, you know, like, hey, you should watch your health bar. It's in the bottom left corner. While I'm running around fighting monsters, go ahead. You know, that's advice now, not really. Well, it's teaching, but it's not didactic teaching, I suppose. And I realize I know I'm using the phrase a little off. Didacticism is when you're just saying, this is the way it is. Now, I just want to be able to do things, you know? Alright, so let's see, what else do I have to talk about? Alright, so it also talks about the failures in edutainment. The edutainment, that horrible, horrible word. Educational entertainment. Can we stop? Please stop creating new words from combinations. It's not going to catch on. Alright? Edutainment is neither educational nor entertaining. And I realized that there have been a couple of really good educational games. Oregon Trail, which I haven't played, it was interesting. I played a little bit. Okay, I played a zombie-themed Oregon Trail. That's what I played. That was actually really fun. And Carmen Sandiego was a really good game, but after a while, I lost the challenge. The challenge was, it's like, they'd say something like, she said she was going to some place quite Appalachian. So I'm like, okay, U.S. it is. And there was absolutely no challenge anymore, so I got bored and I stopped. But if you don't, but you can't. It can be done, you know. But I hate math games. I really do. Math games suck. They're math drills that are animated. That's really what math games are. I'm sorry. I read for that paper that I mentioned that I wrote last semester. I read this article where this person was talking about how horrible violent video games are, and one of her sources was, well, she didn't source it. She mentioned a survey in which 47% of teenagers said that they preferred violent video games over 2%, as opposed to 2% who said that they prefer educational video games. Now she says that the writers for that paper, there were two of them, a man and a woman, who said that it was who seemed to imply that this is horrible, that this means so many bad things for our people. I think it is horrible. I think you should be able to make better educational games. Really, 2% of the population thinks that they're actually pretty fun. That's how does a genre get that bad? All right. So let's see. Now, and if we can work with with the new technology, with all of the new ways to learn, and learn how people learn, and understand that we are learning in different ways now, much faster, much more random. We're going off on tangents this way and that way, and my computer is really confusing me because when I lift my right hand, my screen goes that way. So I'm trying to. I'm sorry, I got very distracted right there. But if we just, if we do this, if we understand that, it will be, we will learn more, and we won't have to go out and find the information for ourselves the way we do. If people will teach us in dynamic ways, rather than lecture-based ways, and this is how you do this. No. I want to do this. Don't tell me this is how to do it. No, put me in front of a computer and tell me to do it, and then fix how I'm doing it. All right. And I'm gonna kind of end with one thing that the writer says about this kind of task that we have ahead of us, because we have two separate things to learn. We have to teach. We have to learn to teach this. We have to teach new things, which are becoming more important now, and we have to teach the old things in new ways, which is also very difficult. And the writer doesn't quite know which is more difficult. You know, it's going to be an interesting couple of years while we're trying to figure out how best to teach ourselves and teach the next generation. I'm looking forward to it.